Good evening and happy Friday night, guys. Today we're going to be talking about something that happened in my neck of the woods at a range that I used to go to in Ashburn, Virginia. For years and the police and the ATF. So let's go ahead and talk about it. You are correct. It should say charged, but I'll fix that later. Whatever. Um, thank you. Okay. So let's go ahead and talk about what is going on. You guys have probably seen a lot of this. I did not want to comment on it until I had the deets, and I do have the deets with the receipts, thanks to a lawyer. I don't know if he wants me to say his name or anything. So let's just keep it. It's a lawyer that passed me on all the paperwork from the MPD, the Metropolitan Police Department, that is the police department for DC. Okay. So let's go ahead and we're going to go through this. We're going to talk about everything because I saw the censored version, but the censored version, the redacted version, left a lot out. So I was still trying to follow it. And I wanted to make sure I had the correct story and I can bring you this news. On September 26th, there was a guy that went to Silver Eagle Group. Silver Eagle Group is outside DC. It is in Ashburn. Ashburn is a well-to-do neighborhood, and this guy went to the range, Silver Eagle Range. Um, well, this is on September 22nd. Sorry. Um, he entered Silver Eagle Group, the shooting range, and rented a rifle. He took the rifle into the range itself and started to disassemble it. He was going to replace the trigger with the 3D printed force reset trigger. Um, what happened was a RSO went up to him and said, "Hey, you cannot do that here. Silver Eagle bans force reset triggers and also binary triggers." I know 'cause I brought a binary there and got yelled at. I know binary triggers are verboten. Force reset triggers are verboten. They're kind of a gray area in Virginia, but we will get into that a little bit later. Okay. So basically, the RSO asked him where he got the trigger from, and he said, "I 3D printed it." Someone, I don't know if it was the RSO or someone else, took that information and reported him to the DC police. Why the DC police? The man lives in DC. No, everything is anonymous. Did it? Maybe employees did it there. I don't know, but he was reported to the DC police. That brings up an interesting question. How did they know that he lived in DC unless they looked at his records? I don't know. Maybe he told someone he lived in DC, but who the anonymous citizen knew he lived in DC, and the only thing I can think of is maybe they got it through the database. He was a or someone the cops got it looks like it was given to him. So, he was a member of Silver Eagle for 6 months, um, and they asked him basically to leave, and he went on his way. He gave back the rifle and went on his way. He didn't really get a chance to fire the rented rifle with the 3D printed FRT in it at all. That didn't happen. He did state to the RSO, which this is kinda makes me kind of wonder about the RSO. that he tried it in his rifle and it did not work. So that's why he rented a rifle from Silver Eagle to try it in the rifle. Okay. So then on the 26th, that's when a guy named Investigator Healyman, who is a member of the DC police force, he is the guy that investigated it, got a notice of it. Um, so he started doing his investigation. Then on October 8th, uh, Judge Edelman in DC, a DC Superior Court judge, signed a search warrant for all electronics inside the residence. One of the interesting things is that they did state it was an FRT, and the officer from DC stated that the FRT is a device that converts a semi-automatic rifle into a full auto rifle, which is definitely not how it works. Oh, that's weird. Okay. So they got the search warrant on October 1st, 2025, and was signed by Judge Park. And then on October 27th, they on October 8th, they got a search warrant for the electronics signed by Judge Edelman. They did a announce raid on the defendant's home. Announce raid is when you knock on the door, and that was on Wednesday, 2 days ago. There was a guy named Sergeant Pussiner who actually did the knock and announce raid, and the defendant lived alone at his house. When they went inside the house, what they discovered was 3D printed FRTs in plain view, right next to the guy's bed. Um, so he had 3D printed FRTs in plain sight. That's when they requested the addendum to the search warrant, and that's when they got it on October 8th with electronics inside the home. Um, it was a studio apartment, and I'm gonna list of everything that they seized in there for you guys. They seized a Smith& and Wesson Bodyguard 2.0 380. Like with 1 inch, with 8 magazines. Well, 1 in the chamber and 8 in the magazine. A Maverick Arms Model 88. It's a 12 gauge shotgun if you don't know, with a magazine that holds 9 rounds. Now DC has a magazine restriction of 10 rounds, so right now we're not over that. A Ruger Model 1022, 3D printed lowers, 3D printed FRTs, a Phoenix Arm HP 22, which is a terrible, terrible semi-automatic 22 gun. Ugh. It have a 10 round magazine, firearm optics. They got 900 rounds of 22, 158 rounds of 380, 78 rounds of 223, 4 rounds of 5.56, and 65 rounds of 12 gauge. He also had 3D printed firearms accessories, a 3D printer, 20 rolls of 3D print of printer filament, 5 SD cards, 4 USB cards, 2 laptops, 3 storage banks, and 1 cell phone. So the ATF was brought in and they questioned the defendant. During the interview, the defendant confessed that he knew what FRTs are and how they are capable of turning semi automatic firearms into a fully automatic firearm, which is a lie. FRTs do not do that. So I don't know why he would say that unless he was forced to and didn't have a lawyer, which never talk to the cops without a lawyer. Basic 101, don't talk to a cop without a lawyer. He also admitted to uh, 3D printing the FRTs, and told them exactly where the CAD files were located on the laptop. Then he told them that he had an additional rifle in the vehicle that was parked out in a public place. So they went to his uh, Toyota Prius, um, and a canine came out and sniffed around the car, and of course they found something because they always do. And they conducted a search of the vehicle after the canine hit for a firearm, and they recovered a Andro Corp Industries model ACI 15, which is a AR-15 like firearm. They took everything back to the Violent Crime Suppression Division for processing. Um, and they checked all the firearms for modification, stuff like that. They took apart the rifle that they found in the guy's car, and they found that that was equipped with a 3D printed FRT. So they seized that. So, based on that circumstances, they placed him under arrest for possession of a machine gun and pistol license violations. And he was processed at the second district. So the charging him with a machine gun violation for a FRT, which is not a machine gun. The ATF was consulted on this, but the charges were not pressed under ATF charges. He is being charged under a DC law and the Superior Court of DC, um, for possession of a machine gun conversion device. So he is facing serious time. But the ATF themselves even said that an FRT is not a machine gun. So I'm sure his lawyer is going to jump on this and hopefully get him off. Yeah, I should have called Steven, had Steven come on, but it is definitely interesting. Let me text him. Let me see if he's willing to talk to us. Never mind. I'm gonna leave him alone. It's Friday night. So that is what is going on right now. That is the most up-to-date information. That is the most complete information. There's been a lot said that Silver Eagle turned him in, and it looks like it was a concerned citizen. Whether the concerned citizen was an employee or not, I don't know. I do know the owner of Silver Eagle, and he's pretty much a based guy. So if it was his employee, I can see him doing that, but I cannot see the owner himself doing that. So I think if it was an employee, they didn't do it through Silver Eagle. They you maybe used the information, but I don't think the owner really had anything to do with it. And Silver Eagle is stating that they had nothing to do with it. Silver Eagle Group in Ashburn. So the owner is I can't see doing officers. Maybe there's a few out there that maybe do it. Uh, Anonymous tips do not meet the criteria of probable calls. I would have a tendency to agree, but 95% of search warrants are granted. So you have that. Drew Bradley, how you doing, buddy? So they have that. That's an actual statistic. 95% of the time when the cops ask for a search warrant, they get the search warrant no matter what. But that is where we are now. We probably won't know anything for a little while. It is a holiday weekend. I call it Columbus Day. Some left wing people call it Indigenous Peoples Day. And I call it Columbus Day. I'm allowed to call it Columbus Day because if you don't know, like my mom is part Cherokee. My grandmother was Cherokee. So since my grandmother was Cherokee, I can call it whatever the hell I want. I'm gonna call it Columbus Day, not Indigenous People Day. Because that's just dumb. All right, guys. And I also believe the Redskins should change their name back to the Redskins. And my grandmother would believe that too. My Cherokee grandmother would believe that they should change the name back to Redskins. But whatever. Let's see exactly what happens in this case. But I will let you guys know as as I find out more. We do have a question here. Any status of Mr. Reseller, Mr. Hoover? Okay, Matt will be out in a little over 2 months, maybe 2 months exactly now. He gets out at the beginning of December. He will be going to a halfway house, but he'll be out of jail, which will be a good thing, or prison. Jail and prison are two different things, which will be a good thing. I'm hoping after he gets done with his halfway house, we'll be able to stream some and everything else like that. So yeah, so hopefully he'll get out. Okay, before we go, I just want to say if you want to help give to the scouts, you can go to givesandgo dot I mean slash sorry, givesandgo.com/997, givesandgo.com/997, and make a donation. We are a unit that's not a woke scout unit. So there's a lot of scout packs that are woke. We are not that. So yeah, it would be good to keep that up so we can continue to subsidize kids going through scouting and be able to um be able to keep them away from the woke packs by letting them go to a non-woke pack that believes in God, liberty, justice, firearms, and everything else. We're all boys pack, so no girls allowed, and it's a good thing. So if you would go to givesandgo.com/997 and throw a couple bucks if you want, we're going to meet all donations with the nation in kind. All right, guys. Thanks, and everyone else, have a good night. I'll see you guys later. Enjoy your weekend.